Hi, it's Maggie the Irish Gypsy here to bring you your April 2018 general readings. Thank you so much for joining us and welcome to any newcomers. Thank you always for all your likes, shares, subscribes, and all your support, feedback, and comments. You guys are brilliant. Please keep it up. And always a big thank you to all of my clients out there, both regular and new clients, for keeping me so continuously busy and occupied with those personal one-on-one readings. If any of you are interested in a one-on-one reading with me and you haven't read with me before, or you have and you've forgotten the information, you can get that information and my contact details by going to my YouTube channel's homepage and clicking on the little About button, which will give you all of the information and my contact info. You can also find that info attached to the description of all the videos I post. Please feel free to contact me directly at maggie_McGuire@gmail.com. I would be delighted to work with you. The turnaround time for personal readings, live or recorded, is usually pretty fast. I do readings full-time, 5 to 6 days a week. It is what I do. So I can usually fit you in within a 2-week period of time or so. Sometimes a few days sooner. Sometimes, it's usually around 2 weeks or so. So send me an email and we'll go from there. If you just have a quick, simple question or two and you just want a fast answer, you can also find me on the smartphone app Instantgo under Irish Gypsy. And that's also with my contact details. I do readings in all main areas of life: love and romance, career, work, and finance, channeled messages from passed on loved ones, as long as there's an emotional connection there. And I also do specifically oriented spreads like reconciliation, opportunities and chances, relationship compatibility spreads, career path spreads, and also 6 and 12-month overviews, which look at the energies coming into your life over the next 6 months or 12 months, depending on how far ahead you want to look. So if you're interested, contact me and I'll get back to you within the same day or the first 24 hours. So look forward to hearing from those of you who are interested. So moving on, remember these are general readings. If you know your rising and your moon sign, watch those videos as well. They can give you additional insight and clarification. Sometimes they might play out a little more predictively for you. These are general readings, and general readings can be kind of tricky sometimes because you're reading for so many people. They may resonate a little differently for everybody watching. But regardless of the details and specifics varying, the fundamental energy and advice for whatever area of your life it applies to remains the same. So this reading is for the water sign of Cancer for the month of April 2018. Our lovely little crabs, let's see what April has in store for you. We begin with the Two of Swords, followed by the Knight of Cups, the Six of Cups, followed by the Ten of Pentacles, the Ten of Cups, followed by Judgment, and the Hanging Man, followed by the King of Wands. And from the bottom of the deck, your overall energy and guidance is the Nine of Wands. I think about half the signs I've done so far has had the major arcana card of Judgment. All right, Cancer, let's take a look. Oh, and my background's a little bit different, not because I'm traveling, which is usually the case, but for the time being, I'm doing all of my general videos and one-on-one readings from my couch or bed or some such, because I am recovering from foot surgery, which I had a couple of weeks ago, and I can't work at my desk, which is where I normally work from, because I have to keep my leg elevated. So it doesn't really affect my work at all, but that's why the background is a little bit different. Okay, Cancer. So let's begin. Let me take a look at your elemental energy here. We have 1, 2, 3 cup cards, 2 wands, a swords, 1 pentacle. So maybe a little more emotions than anything else this month. It looks like you may be feeling a little bit discouraged at something around the beginning of April 2018. I am recording these in the last couple of days of March. Your overall energy and guidance for the month of April 2018, Cancer, is the Nine of Wands, fire energy. The Nine of Wands is a card about, it can represent feeling a bit discouraged at the moment. But the advice is always pushing through with the Nine of Wands, almost always pushing through. You can see this soldier has run into this obstacle. That's what this grouping of wands behind him represents. He's already fought a lot of battles already, and he wants to be done. In the tarot, the number 10 represents cycles ending or culminating, a sense of achievement or completion. So we're at the 9 here, which means you're very, very close to the end of something or completing something so that you can transition into a new direction. And that's what he's been doing, and he wants to be done. But he's run into this last minute challenge, obstacle, hurdle. Oh, what do I have to do this time? And he's withdrawn a little bit. This is not a defeat or a full-blown retreat. He's just taking a step back. He's sunk down to his knees. He may be feeling a little discouraged, maybe in a bit of despair. He's trying to figure it out. How do I get through this? Should I get through this? Should I go around it? What should I do? Why have I run into this? So it can be a card that represents feeling. It feels like for a lot of you, you've run into something that you've run into before and you're just tired of it. The accompanying advice, because this is your overall focus and guidance for the month of April 2018, it's a card about pushing through. I often refer to this as the 11th hour card. It's always darkest before it's dawn. You're almost at a completion stage, either for something completing or a chapter completing so you can transition into something new. This is just one, this is just a bump, an obstacle or hurdle. You can get through it. Don't allow yourself to sit in this position for very long, for those of you for whom this applies to. Even if you can't see it, you're almost at a completion phase where something's going to be done, or it's going to be done to the point where you can transition into something else or in a new direction. So for those of you feeling a bit discouraged and worn out, maybe despairing a little bit, don't sit in that emotion. Push through. You are almost there, whether you feel it or not, you are. Now, we begin the month with the Two of Swords and the Knight of Cups. So the Two of Swords is a card, it's sometimes about having your head stuck in the sand. Twos represent duality choices, sometimes being at a crossroads. The blindfold can represent not knowing what to do in a situation, but it often represents that there's something in front of you that needs to be dealt with or chosen or done, but the blindfold can represent a reluctance or a resistance to looking at something head on, because if you do that, then it puts you in a place where you have to do something about it. So this can be a sense of reluctance and resistance to deal with something that's in front of you. And the vague outline of the moon here, typically when a moon shows up in a tarot card, it's always about, it points to our subconscious or a deep sense of spirituality and our intuition as well, which is our connection to the divine. It's how we get messages. So I feel like, and the fact that this has come up represents that something needs to be dealt with, so that it needs to be dealt with once and for all is what I'm getting, because I feel like whatever you've run into before, and it's time to really deal with it once and for all. And I feel like some of you may have, a lot of you may have help or offers of emotional help or support or assistance around you, but you may not be seeing it, or you may not be wanting to take it or believe that it's real. Or you may not be willing or wanting to reach out for help, because the Two of Swords is accompanied by the Knight of Cups. Now, Cups is water energy. In the tarot, this usually manifests in the emotional feeling part of our life, which also deals with relationships. And Knights can represent the speed at which a situation moves, and they often represent an offer or an opportunity being brought to you. Like this could be an offer of love or of emotional support, somebody being there for you, and it could also be you reaching out to extend that or to offer that or to ask for that as well. And the fact that it's clarifying the Two of Swords, you have your eyes closed to this, whether it's, you know, reaching out for help or accepting any help or support that you know is there. It could be a combination of the two as well. Because you don't really want to deal with this thing, whatever it is. Now, next to that, we have the Six of Cups and the Ten of Pentacles. So the Six of Cups is primarily a card associated with the past. This can be the long ago past, like childhood, parents, roots of origin, where you grew up, how you grew up, old belief systems. It can be relationships of all kinds that have the weight of history or childhood behind them as well. Reminiscence, nostalgia, looking back on something perhaps with rose-colored glasses, you know, thinking that it's a time of where you were more carefree and childlike than you are today. But it is a card primarily associated with the past. I just got something which I'll explain in a minute. Now the Six of Cups is clarified by the Ten of Pentacles. So here you actually have two tens in this spread, the Ten of Pentacles and the Ten of Cups. Tens always represent cycles ending or culmination, a sense of completion, and a chapter ending. This is the Ten of Pentacles. Pentacles is earth energy, and it usually manifests in the earthly, tangible, practical parts of our life. Often it can represent money, finances, property, real estate, resources, job, assets, etc. In the early tarot decks, traditionally this was considered the inheritance card, but what does inheritance really mean? It means a sense of abundance and prosperity, or a gift of some kind, which represents the long, slow accumulation of what went in to build it up to where it is today. So it's, again, things with weight and history and the accumulation of effort and things over time, which it's kind of a good companion to the Six of Cups, which is a card of the past. There's also a strong connection to home and family with this. It can represent family business, family money, family estate, family home, property. For some of you, it might be literal fertility, but I really feel like, I mean, the Ten of Pentacles can represent a sense of security and stability in perhaps your home and family environment, or what makes you feel solid, secure, and safe, you know, where you don't have to be, in a financial sense, maybe you don't have to be, you know, looking from paycheck to paycheck. You have more than enough to feel calm and secure and at peace with yourself. This can be in money and finances, but I feel like for a lot of you, it has to do with what makes you feel stable and secure. Some of you that might be, you know, money and resources, but because it's also clarifying the Six of Cups, which is a card about the past, I feel like for a lot of you, this links into how you grew up, or a belief system, a way of looking at something that you have about the past. I feel like for a lot of you, maybe one of the reasons why you're not reaching out for help or accepting the help that's there, and you're feeling discouraged about trying to tackle whatever this thing is over and over again, I feel like you're operating from a belief system or a way of operating or looking at something which is old and comes out of your childhood or long ago past about what it means to be independent or to be stable and secure. Perhaps you were taught that you shouldn't rely on other people, or perhaps the experiences that you've had led you to believe that you can't rely on other people. So perhaps you've been walking a solitary path, and accepting other people's help or reaching out for help is difficult for you because you're operating from this old mindset about where you should be and what you should be and how you should have what you have on your own. That feels pretty specific for a group of you out there. But you are also responsible. We are also responsible when we are presented with the opportunity to make changes. And if we choose not to look at something head on and deal with it once and for all, we are responsible for that and accountable for that too. We have the ability to create and manifest our own happiness and desire by making changes and doing the work or whatever needs to be done in order to put ourselves in a position of having more power and control over manifesting that. And we're accountable for that. That's been a common theme for some of the signs I've done for April. And that's kind of echoed next in the Ten of Cups and Judgment. Something just popped up on my screen. Let me get rid of it. So the Ten of Cups is another card of completion. This is happy completion. This is actually, another strong connection to home and family as well, but in the happiness, harmony, rather than the stability and security, particularly in money or financial dealings like the Ten of Pentacles is. The Ten of Cups is feeling like you're at that place in life, particularly within your home and family, that you're just happy. You don't really want anything else. Everything's kind of finally come together in this joyful completion of all 10 cups. This is family, happiness, harmony. It's sometimes called the happily ever after card or the happy home card. Marriage, children, blessings, a happy home, all of which this the energy of this card pertains to. It can represent also, you know, adding a child, completion. There's a sense of fulfillment being reached in home, family, harmony, and stability and security too. And it's clarified by Judgment, which is a major arcana card. Now, what does judgment really mean? What does it mean to be judged? It means to be held accountable and responsible for our actions and our choices. Not what we intended, not what we hoped for or wanted or wished for or meant to do, but what we actually do. Our choices, decisions, and actions. We're held accountable and responsible for that, and then judgment is passed, and judgment is final. So judgment has an air of finality about it. It says that whatever choices you make or don't make, whatever paths you choose or don't choose, whatever you set into motion is going to be final, meaning that you can't reverse it, or at least not easily, and it has long-lasting effects, like a ripple effect. So be careful about what you do, and also because you have control over your own life and your own decisions. Even if you feel like you can't, you can, and you are. And usually I see judgment showing up in readings for clients when a decision needs to be made or action needs to be taken, and they're maybe considering one path, or they're considering doing nothing at all. Judgment usually shows up when even if what's in front of you to be dealt with, which it doesn't look like you want to deal with, it may not seem all that important, but judgment says that it is. And it can have long-lasting ramifications and effects in your life, particularly in your sense of happiness, harmony, and stability in your home and in your family. And you have more control over this than you are allowing yourself to currently have. And there is help and support around you if you just reach out and ask for it, and reach out and accept it. Now, at or towards the end of April 2018, we have the Hanging Man and the King of Wands. Kind of differing energy here, because the Hanging Man is about withdrawing from conflict and not involving yourself or trying to maneuver or manipulate or force any kind of outcome. It's a card of temporarily withdrawing from a situation, a challenge or a conflict, or just a situation, and letting things play out and not actually doing anything, just staying kind of motionless, feeling like you're in stasis or a lack of motion, or in limbo, so to speak. And whether it's positive or negative is about, what energies you channel in the surrounding cards that clarify it. Now, the accompanying and a clarifying card to the Hanging Man is the King of Wands, which is a vastly different type of energy. Kings and queens represent individuals who've reached the mastery of their suit. So they've grown and matured and learned and evolved beyond the young, immature energy of the page and the spontaneous, impulsive energy of the knights, and they've reached kinghood and queenhood. Is that a word? Kings and queens represent individuals who have matured and evolved, and they've learned. So they're at a grounded, responsible place with the inherent character traits of their suit. Wands is fire energy. So as an individual, this would be Leo, Aries, Sagittarius individual, sun, moon, or rising. It could represent another person in here who's significant, or one of your other signs, like your rising or your moon sign or your sun sign. It's a very dynamic, action-oriented sign. The King of Wands is not one to rest on his laurels for very long. In fact, he's even sitting on his throne kind of restlessly. When he runs into an obstacle or a hurdle, he figures out what it is. I'm going to deal with this. I'm going to do what it takes. I'm going to figure out what it takes. I'm going to get the resources and the people I need, and I'm going to go after this thing and accomplish it and finish it. Very dynamic, action-oriented, fluid, fire energy. I feel, Cancer, like you are being called to face something and deal with it completely head on, realistically, honestly, courage and humility to do it. There's help around you to do it. Stop hanging on to whatever it is from the past that's kind of keeping you stuck, particularly in feeling like you're at a place in life where you're happy with where you are, particularly with home and family. We are accountable and responsible for what we choose and what we do not choose. The staying in stasis and limbo, I don't feel is good for you anymore, Cancer. I feel like it's old mindsets, old messages, and old belief systems which are holding you back from being on a path that will get you to a place of emotional and practical security, stability, and happiness and harmony in your life and in your home. And I feel like you're being called to draw upon a bit more firepower to balance out your water energy in order to push through that, because that's what it takes to push through that last little bit I know you're tired. I know you're maybe worn out or discouraged, and maybe afraid, in doubt, in fear, insecurity, but that's where strength and wisdom and courage comes from. Not from not feeling those things, but from feeling those things and moving through them anyway, which I feel you're being called to do here. Yeah. It's actually a beautiful, lovely reading. It is an opportunity in April to get rid of something once and for all, to throw the covers back over the bed and realize that that boogeyman under the bed is not the boogeyman you thought he was. And even if he is, you can wipe up the floor with him. You just got to do it. You just got to get in there and do it. And you can, Cancer. So Cancer, that pretty much wraps up your April 2018 general reading. I hope that you found it useful and helpful to you in some way, because that's why we do these readings. Again, if any of you are interested in a more personal one-on-one reading with me, you can get the information and my contact details by looking at the description of all the videos I post, and you can also click on the little About button on my YouTube channel's homepage. Please feel free to email me directly at Maggie1McGuire@gmail.com. I would be most happy to work with you and set up a reading with you as quickly as possible. And I will see you all again in a couple of weeks for the April 2018 mid-month readings. And until then, Cancer, as always, I wish you joy, peace, blessings, and a happy life, and all courage and strength to you. Take care, Cancer, and I hope to see you back here again soon. Bye-bye.